You are here with By the Cover. Today we're going to be reviewing Along the River of Flesh by Kristopher Triana. This is the second book in the duology, the first book being Gone to See the River Man. This review will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to hear those, click off now. My rating of this book is going to be a 2 out of 10. If you haven't seen my review of Gone to See the River Man, I rated that book a 9 out of 10, so you're probably wondering what's the difference between that book and this book. And that's primarily the context that I'll be giving for why this review is so low. So I'll start off with my likes. I love the atmosphere of this book. I like how the author ties it in with music as well. And the way that Edmund speaks, it was poetic in the first book, and it's still poetic in the second book. The primary thing that made the first book great was the atmosphere. It was an interesting journey where you were kind of going along this path and you were meeting interesting people. And the primary characters were all interesting. But the basis of the first story was a good mystery and decent characters that at least had enough to chew on that you wanted to know more. Where the second book falls completely flat for me are two primary reasons. First, you have three characters, and none of them are great. You have Keith, who's just an asshole detective. You have June, who's a crazy teenager. She's not likable from the start, and she has a very predictable arc. And then you have Gary, who's about the only one you can root for. He is a depressed guy who lost his wife, and he's just not fun to be around, first of all. And secondly, he is super bland. He doesn't have any super great traits aside from that he's a decent guy. That's pretty much what you can say about him. Because I don't care about these primary characters, I could care less what happens to them at the end. And the other reason I dislike this book is because it was boring. And the reason it was boring is because where the first book, you're in a brand new setting, you're tracing a interesting path that's exciting, and you're meeting new people. In this book, you're basically doing that exact same thing, going on the exact same journey with people you don't really care about. It's kind of like going back to a place you've already vacationed and doing the exact same itinerary that you did the first time you were there. It may have been great the first time around, but the second time around it may be slightly boring. That's what I found with this one. I didn't really care about the characters, and the journey was pretty much doing the exact same thing that it did before. Now, where it differed, I felt like the first book didn't lean too heavily into the gore aspect. The second book absolutely did. I think it cranked it up to 11 with Edmund on the loose. It was a lot of that and not a lot of good story. It kind of flipped that aspect from the first story. I need more than just disturbing crap happening for me to think it's a good story. So that is why I rate this follow-up a lot lower than the first book. I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the pacing. I didn't like the characters. I still love the atmosphere, and I still love the poetic way that Edmund talks. But aside from that, this one just didn't do anything for me. That's about it. We'll catch you guys later.